Welcome. Pull up a chair, take a deep breath, and let's have a real unfiltered conversation about the elephant in the room. If you close your eyes and picture the traditional American dream of retirement, what do you see? You probably envision a gold watch, a permanent vacation, a paid-off house, and endless afternoons spent with grandchildren or traveling the country in an RV. It's a beautiful picture. It's the promise we were all sold. Work hard for 40 years, play by the rules, and your golden years will truly be golden. Now open your eyes to the reality of 2026. The landscape has shifted beneath our feet. For millions of Americans, the dream of a carefree retirement has been replaced by a gnawing, persistent anxiety. We are facing a quiet but massive systemic shock, a retirement crisis. It is a crisis that doesn't announce itself with a sudden market crash or a breaking news siren. Instead, it creeps up in the grocery aisle, at the pharmacy counter, and at the kitchen table when the monthly bills are laid out. If you are feeling stressed about your financial future, I want to look you in the virtual eye and say this: you are not alone, and you are not crazy. The rules of the game changed while you were playing it. Pensions disappeared, healthcare costs skyrocketed, and inflation silently ate away at your purchasing power. But this is not a narrative of despair. Far from it. This is a wake-up call. Because once we drag the monster out from under the bed and look at it in the light of day, it loses its power over us. We can measure it, we can strategize against it, and we can beat it. Today we are going to dissect the 6 pillars of the American retirement crisis. We will look at the cold, hard facts with absolute candor. But more importantly, we are going to talk about how you can take radical ownership of your future, pivot your strategy, and reclaim your peace of mind. Let's dive in. 1. The retirement fund, the chasm between expectation and reality. Let's start with the math. The bedrock of retirement is your nest egg. For decades, the financial industry has debated the magic number required to retire comfortably. As we look at the data for 2026, the contrast between what people need and what people have is staggering. Recent surveys show that current retirees believe you need an average of $823,800 in savings and investments to retire comfortably today. That is a massive jump from just a year prior, driven by the persistent sting of higher prices. Financial institutions like Creative Planning are setting the target even higher, suggesting $1.26 million is the new benchmark for a truly comfortable lifestyle. But what does the actual bank account of the average American look like? The typical retiree in 2026 has an average of just $288,700 saved. Worse, the median retirement account balance, which represents the exact middle of the pack and strips out the ultra-wealthy, skewing the average, is hovering around $87,000. More than 1 in 4 retirees currently have absolutely no retirement savings at all. When you realize that Social Security currently pays out an average of just about $1,900 a month, the gap becomes a chasm. This is where we have to introduce a vital dose of financial reality, the $1,000 a month rule. This rule is a straightforward formula to help you understand the true cost of lifestyle preservation. To generate $1,000 of monthly income in retirement, assuming a safe withdrawal rate of 4% to 5%, you need to have between $240,000 and $300,000 saved. Want an extra $4,000 a month to live comfortably on top of Social Security? You need roughly $1.2 million. Hearing these numbers can feel like a punch to the gut. It's easy to feel paralyzed. But let me stop you right there. Do not let the gap between where you are and where you want to be become an excuse for inaction. Every extra dollar you save today is a soldier fighting for your future freedom. Maximize your 401k match. It is literal free money. Take advantage of catch-up contributions if you are over 50. The Secure 2.0 Act has implemented massive changes for 2025 and 2026, including higher catch-up limits and mandatory auto-enrollment for new plans. Leverage the system. It is never too late to start aggressively steering your ship. TERS housing costs, the cracking foundation. Historically, the American retirement playbook relied heavily on one crucial milestone: paying off the mortgage. Once the house was paid for, your cost of living would plummet, allowing you to live comfortably on a fixed income. Today, that playbook is outdated. Even for those who have managed to pay off their mortgages, housing costs remain a relentless burden. We are seeing unprecedented spikes in property taxes, HOA fees, and home insurance premiums, fueled by inflation and extreme weather events. The house is paid off, but the rent you pay to the state and the insurance companies keeps going up. For retirees who are renting, the situation is even more precarious. Renters are entirely at the mercy of the market. Without the fixed anchor of a locked-in mortgage, a 10% rent hike can instantly force a retiree to choose between keeping a roof over their head and buying groceries. We have to separate our emotional attachment to our homes from the mathematical reality of our budgets. It is heartbreaking to feel priced out of a home where you raised your family, but holding on to a massive, expensive, empty nest out of pure nostalgia can financially drown you. We need to embrace the power of downsizing, relocation, and creative living. Selling a high-equity home in a high-cost-of-living state and moving to a more tax-friendly, affordable region isn't a retreat. It's a tactical maneuver. Multi-generational living is also making a massive, culturally healthy comeback. Sharing property and expenses with adult children isn't a failure. For most of human history, it was the standard of a thriving, supportive family unit. 3. Healthcare costs, the hidden iceberg. If housing is a cracking foundation, healthcare is the hidden iceberg waiting in the dark waters of your retirement plan. There is a dangerous misconception that once you hit 65, Medicare swoops in like a superhero and covers all your medical needs. That is a myth, and believing it can bankrupt you. Medicare has premiums, deductibles, copays, and massive coverage gaps, particularly when it comes to dental, vision, hearing, and long-term care. According to Fidelity's latest estimates for a 65-year-old retiring in 2025-2026, a person will need approximately $172,500 just to cover healthcare and medical expenses throughout retirement. And remember, that staggering figure does not even include long-term care, like assisted living or nursing home facilities. Furthermore, the cost of private health insurance and supplemental plans is climbing. In 2026 alone, health insurance premiums are seeing average hikes of around 4.41%. Healthcare inflation consistently outpaces general inflation. As we live longer, the machinery of our bodies inevitably requires more maintenance. There is also a hidden demographic in this crisis: the disabled. Many people who are technically classified as retirees by Social Security were forced out of the workforce early due to severe health issues. These individuals have had far less time to build wealth and face vastly higher rates of poverty. Healthcare planning is retirement planning. You cannot separate the two. If you are still working and have access to a health savings account, HSA, treat it like the holy grail of investment accounts. It is triple tax advantaged and can be invested for long-term growth, providing a dedicated war chest for medical expenses later in life. Furthermore, prioritize your physical health today. The highest return on investment you will ever get is eating well, exercising, and managing stress. A healthy body is the ultimate inflation hedge. 4. Cost of living and inflation, the silent thief. Inflation is a thief in the night. It doesn't break down your door and steal your money all at once. It quietly takes pennies off every dollar you own, day after day, month after month. For someone on a fixed income, inflation is devastating. Let's say you mapped out a perfect budget in 2020. You accounted for every gallon of gas, every dozen eggs, and every utility bill. Fast forward to 2026, and that budget is completely obsolete. The sheer shock of the grocery store checkout line is a weekly trauma for many seniors. While Social Security does offer cost of living adjustments, COLA, these adjustments historically lag behind the actual inflation experienced by seniors who spend a disproportionate amount of their income on two categories that inflate the fastest: healthcare and housing. When everyday essentials skyrocket, retirees are forced to make impossible trade-offs. Do I turn on the heat, or do I fill my prescription? Do I buy fresh vegetables, or do I pay the rising car insurance premium? You cannot afford to leave your retirement savings sitting in cash under a mattress or in an account earning 0.01% interest. To defeat inflation, your money must be put to work. You need a diversified portfolio that includes assets capable of outpacing inflation over the long haul. Dividend-paying stocks, inflation-protected securities, and high-yield savings accounts are vital tools. We must transition from a mindset of saving to a mindset of wealth preservation through growth. 5. Forced extension of working life, the unretirement trend. Because of the first four factors, inadequate savings, high housing costs, massive healthcare bills, and inflation, we are witnessing a massive sociological shift, the death of traditional retirement. Welcome to the era of unretirement. In 2026, nearly 1 in 5 Americans aged 65 and older are in the workforce. Even more telling, recent surveys reveal that 1 in 8 seniors plan to rejoin the workforce this year. Older Americans are the fastest-growing segment of the labor market. But here is where the data tells two different stories. For some, working past 65 is a choice. Around 27% say they do it to maintain a routine, and 24% do it for social connection. They consult, they mentor, they start small businesses. It keeps them sharp and engaged. For the majority, however, the choice is made for them by their bank accounts. Over 54% cite the high cost of living as a primary reason for returning to work. They are taking on part-time roles. In fact, over 38% of employed older Americans are working part-time, bagging groceries, driving for rideshare apps, or working retail to bridge the gap. Let's reframe this entirely. Society has conditioned us to view working past 65 as a failure. It is not. Continuing to generate income is one of the most powerful financial levers you can pull. Every year you work is a year you aren't drawing down your savings. It's a year you can delay Social Security, which increases your benefit by 8% per year past your full retirement age. Do not view a forced extension of your working life as a prison sentence. View it as an opportunity to reinvent yourself. Find bridge work that you actually enjoy. Monetize a hobby. Consult in your old industry on your own terms. We are living longer, healthier lives than any generation in history. There is no rule that says you must stop contributing to the world at age 65. 6. The emotional toll, the heaviest tax of all. Finally, we have to talk about the weight that doesn't show up on a bank statement. The emotional and psychological toll of the retirement crisis is staggering. There is a profound, suffocating sense of shame that many older Americans carry. They look at their shrinking bank accounts and think, I worked hard my whole life. I did what I was supposed to do. Why am I struggling? What did I do wrong? This financial insecurity breeds chronic anxiety, depression, and isolation. Many retirees withdraw from their social circles because they simply cannot afford to go out to dinner, buy a wedding gift, or join their friends on a trip. They feel like a burden to their adult children, hiding their financial pain behind forced smiles during the holidays. The golden years, for many, have become the anxiety years. Let me speak directly to your heart for a moment. Validate those feelings. It is okay to be angry. It is okay to mourn the retirement you thought you were going to have. But you must not let shame win. You did not fail. You are navigating an economic ecosystem that has drastically changed its rules. The decline of defined benefit pensions, the explosion of healthcare costs, the volatile markets, none of this is a reflection of your character or your worth. The antidote to anxiety is action. When we hide our finances in the dark, our fears multiply. When we bring them into the light, we strip them of their power. Talk to your family. Be honest about your boundaries. Say, I love you, but I cannot afford to help with that down payment, or let's do a potluck this year instead of a fancy dinner out. True community and family will rally around honesty, not pretense. Furthermore, you must forgive yourself for the financial mistakes of your past. You cannot drive a car forward by staring into the rear-view mirror. Take a deep breath, drop the baggage of what-ifs, and look at the road ahead. The call to action, rewriting the script. The retirement crisis in America is formidable. The math is intimidating, the costs are high, and the emotional weight is heavy. But history is full of people who looked at impossible odds and decided to rewrite the script anyway. You possess a lifetime of resilience, grit, and wisdom. You have survived recessions, personal tragedies, career changes, and global upheavals. You are incredibly tough. Do not let macroeconomic statistics dictate your microeconomic reality. You have agency. You have power. Start today. Track every dollar you spend. Audit your housing and healthcare costs. If you are behind on savings, optimize what you have and look for ways to generate lean, flexible income. Have the hard conversations with your family. Retirement is no longer an age, it is a financial state. And whether that state looks like a cabin in the woods, a multi-generational home full of laughter, or a part-time job you genuinely love, it is yours to design. Stand tall, take a breath, take control. The next chapter of your life is unwritten and you hold the pen. Thank you for watching this video to the end. Please like and leave your comment if you like this video.